Hi guys, welcome to this advanced lesson. Today I'd like to tell you about an experience I had a few months ago in London when I lost my wallet. So, I live about 50 miles away from London, which is about 80 kilometers. And sometimes I like to take a trip to London to do various things. Of course, in London there's so much to do, so much to enjoy. And one thing I like to do is go to interesting museums. So it was my plan to go to a place called the British Museum, which is a very, very famous museum in London. One of the most famous museums in the world, in fact. They've got a wonderful collection of things from all over the world, so much history, so much culture. It's a fantastic place to go, if ever you get the chance. And I went to London for the day, and I took the underground train. We call it the underground. In other countries it's called a subway or metro train. I took the underground train to the museum and I opened my bag to get my camera, and I found that the front of my bag was open, which is, a problem. And I found that actually my wallet was missing. My wallet was gone, which is of course a really bad thing. Now, in my wallet, I had my train tickets to travel home, I had all of my cash, and I had all of my bank cards. So, of course, I had no money and no way to get home. This is a serious problem. So, the first thing that I did was I had to call the bank. I had to call the bank to cancel my cards, because of course if you lose your bank card, maybe somebody will use your card to buy something or to take some money from your bank accounts. It's a serious problem. So I had to call the bank and get the cards cancelled. Unfortunately, I have a lot of different bank cards with different banks, and I even have a card with a bank in South Korea, because of course I was living in Korea for a few years. So I had to make phone calls to all the different banks to cancel credit cards, debit cards, and I had to ring people on my phone. I had to call them in Korea just to cancel, or at least to try to cancel my card in Korea. It was very difficult because of course it was the middle of the night in Korea. In England the time was about 3 p.m, but in Korea it was about midnight. So it was a big problem to have to call people to wake them up and say, can you go onto the website of the bank and find the emergency phone number and call the bank. Terrible. Next, I had to find a way to travel across London back to the main train station so that I could travel home. Now, I went to the underground train station, the subway station, and I asked them if there was a way that I could give my name and address and get a ticket and then pay back when I got home. But there was no way, unfortunately. It was impossible. So what I had to do was I had to walk across London. It wasn't too far. It was maybe about 2.5 miles of walking. But the problem was it was very, very busy. It was a Friday evening. So by this time, there were a lot of people travelling around London, a lot of people going home from work, and also a lot of people going out to maybe go to a bar or a restaurant or the theatre or something like this. So lots of people were everywhere. So it was very, very slow to walk through London. Finally, after I think about 2 hours of walking through London, it was so slow. After about 2 hours of walking, I finally found my way to the train station where I needed to be to travel home. And I went and I asked at the ticket office, is there some kind of way that I can give you my name and my address and I can pay for the tickets when I get home? But they said there was no way, it was impossible. So what do you do? What do you do in this situation when you can't go home? When you don't have any money and you don't have a bank card and you can't get a free ticket temporarily? It's a serious problem. But they said what I could do was I could contact someone and they could call a phone number, and then that person could pay for my train tickets with a credit card, and then I could collect my card from the ticket office sorry, I should say collect my train tickets from the ticket office, and then I would be able to go home. Now, that's a good idea, but when I did it, it actually took a very, very long time. I contacted my dad and I asked him to call the number and to request to buy a train ticket for me to come home. But it took about 1 hour between him making the phone call and the train ticket finally being ready. So it took so much time, all of it. I remember I arrived at the museum at about 3 o'clock, and it wasn't until about 8 o'clock that evening that I was able to take a train and travel home. So it was a really terrible day. And even though I travelled all the way to London to go to the museum, I was only in the museum for about 30 seconds before I realised my wallet had gone and I had to try to find a way to go home. So it took half a day just to get home from this situation. So I don't know what happened to my wallet. Maybe I lost it or maybe it was stolen. I guess I'll never know. But these things happen, and at least I got home. Okay, so I hope this was enjoyable for you, and I hope that you can practice your listening skills with this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.